Thank you so much for joining us today and for talking to us about Lark and Owl Booksellers. I'm here with Jane Estes, co-founder and general manager from Lark and Owl Booksellers in Georgetown, Texas. And so we really just want to get to know more about you and more about your bookstore. And so I thought we'd get started with just you letting us know, how did you get into the bookstore business?
So, hi, Sam. Thank you for having me. You know that I'm a huge fan of the Writers League of Texas, and so I'm beyond thrilled to be here with you. So, thank you for that. How this happened is we had a great little bookstore in our town, and then the people who owned it retired, and then we had a horrible drought for about 8 years. In the meantime, I had been meeting actually other authors from the Writers League, from the events I went to and the conferences. And I knew that people here in Georgetown still wanted to talk about books. I was in two, let's say, paused book clubs. And so I knew people wanted to talk about it, but didn't have as much time to be in their book club. So I asked some authors, from Austin, would you come up here to Georgetown and do what you do, like at Book People or another bookstore in the area? But it's, oh, sorry, I'm moving the table. But it's someone's home with wine and desserts, and nobody ever said no. So it was they were private events, and I had 3 to 4 of these a year in different people's homes for 4 years. And when I would introduce the authors, we had Owen Edgerton and Sarah Bird and John Pipkin and, all the greatest hits, from Austin. And I would say, until we have a bookstore again in Georgetown, we'll have these as private events. And I'm sorry, we can't open to the public. And then one day I just realized we were the people we were waiting for. So I'd done a big project here in this town before in Georgetown. And so I knew how to do that. And I reached out to some 9 other women I know who knew how to get things done too. And we were going to open a little, bookstore in a little house with a walk-up coffee bar, but there was not a little house available. And this gorgeous warehouse space was. And so we changed our whole vision for what the project could be, which was the best thing that could happen.
Wow, yeah. I mean, your bookstore is so beautiful, and that story is so inspiring. And I love that it was really like a community thing, when you got started. And so, can you tell us 3 words you'd use to describe your bookstore and its character or its mission, or, the community that you surround yourself with there?
Well, our tagline actually is 3 words, and it's community, conversation, and books. And we think that that is a great description of what we do, but it's not the full thing. And so the other words that I would add to that, if I can have more than 3, is humor and connection. And we try to have as much diversity on our shelves and in our programming as we can. So that's actually 3 extra words. So 6.
Well, it's an amazing bookstore and it deserves all the words.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah. And so, bookstores, it's in this time that we're living in when things are closing down and things are scary. What would you say the responsibility of a bookstore is today? And you can talk a little more broadly, but I think especially now things are changing and so much is uncertain.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because I think in the independent bookstore industry, we're all having to kind of shuffle and even rethink what that means to us to be an independent bookstore and what that means to the world, and our communities. And in the independent bookstore world, you hear that word community very often. And in fact, that was the result of a Harvard Business School study on why independent bookstores didn't completely die after the big A, came in on the street. And that was their preliminary and their final findings, where bookstores are places to build community. And that's why we say community and connection. But I was thinking about this yesterday, and if you had to boil that down even more so into a tiny little grain, one thing that has taken us aback since we opened over a year ago is the people who came up to us and said, "Thank you for seeing me." and people come into our store and they feel like we see them. We see who they are. We try to make sure people are represented on our shelves and in our programming, and as best we can on our staff too. And I think that is a very humbling, worthy thing, to make someone feel seen.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And your bookstore, it's one like I've never been to before, truly. And I was wondering if you could tell us what your favorite section of the bookstore is, because like it is such a vast and beautiful bookstore.
Oh, thank you. So I actually have two favorite spots, and one is our kids section, which is just right next door to, I'm in the YA section right now, and the kids section is right around that case there. And we have a loft, with a big chalkboard and carpeted stairs and cushions, and then we have a little reading nook. And of course, it's not being used right now because we pulled all the toys and anything that could spread, COVID around. We removed that. But before that, I'd come back and do a circle through the store, and I would see parents reading to their little kids, reading to their bigger kids. On more than one occasion, I would come around the corner and there'd be a little toddler with a book moving their mouths, because they think they're reading. And the parent, it was a mother or a father, either time, curled up around that kid asleep. So, and we just leave them. We're all moms here. And so we just tiptoe away and let them sleep. And then, they have their 20-minute power nap, and then they get up and they buy some books and they all go home, and so people feel comfortable, and like they can connect with their kids and take a little rest. I don't recommend sleeping in all bookstores, but if you need a power nap here, we won't bother you. If you sleep more than 20 minutes, we might come poke you, but not until then. And then my second favorite spot is up near the windows. We made a decision to put our romance section in the very front by the windows. And, I think it's 1 out of 5 books sold is a romance book. And a lot of bookstores kind of put them somewhere else, that genre somewhere else. And we wanted that front and center, because I really personally believe you should never diss or make fun of anything that somebody reads, and we have something for everybody, we think, and there shouldn't be any elitism or snobbery or whatever you want to fill in the blank for that. And so that section is really, really fun in the front of the store. We also have some retail woven in there, and so we have some scarves and candles and some really cute things just piled up there in the romance section. And it's bright and engaging and fun.
Yeah, it really is so homey there. I remember the first time I went, I talked to you and I was like, Jane, I want to stay here forever. And it is so nice. Yeah. And so besides books, what's one thing that you sell that you love to see customers buy? And I have bought a magnet that is still on my fridge from that bookstore. And so I know you have a lot to say, but what's one thing?
We have some great retail. Our retail buyer is amazing. That retail team is amazing. And we try to have things that have a sense of humor and kind of encompass what we think at our store, which is there is room for everybody. And so we have cards for LGBTQ people. We have cards for people who are getting a divorce, and they're funny cards. we have a card for almost anybody that we can think of and can find a card for. And we love that because people come in and, we all make assumptions about each other when we first lay eyes on each other if we've never met. And I'm always very happily surprised at how many people reach for kind of the non-traditional cards or stickers, that we have. And that tickles me to no end, because when somebody leaves the store, it's like, well, I didn't see that that's what they were going to come in for, but they did. So I love that.
Yeah, that's lovely. And so finally, this is our last question. Anything else you want folks to know about your bookstore?
Well, what we'd like for people to know about our bookstore is that we really truly believe in community. As I've said multiple times, we believe in the power of books. We believe in bringing people together no matter what their beliefs may be. We think books can do that, or cards or stickers or magnets can bring people together in a way that is necessary, and not so easy these days. And so we really focused hard on thinking, just throw the doors open, let everybody come in, and we hope everybody feels at home here and comfortable and seen, and that you have a good time while you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, so I think that's it. And
I do have one more thing I want to remember to say, and I wrote this down and I
of
almost
course,
forgot
yeah.
it. But we also offer a 10% discount to all Writers League of Texas members, and we'll be sending out a code to you guys for you to disperse to the membership soon, probably before this airs. So stay
Awesome.
tuned for that.
Yeah. And so Evan is gonna, he's our like tech YouTube computer guy. He's gonna edit this and put a bunch of like graphics, and it's gonna be super cool. And then we'll let you know whenever it's ready to be published on YouTube.
That is fabulous. And Sam, thank you so much. I just love y'all. You know I do.
Yeah, and we love you too. I think about your bookstore all the time. I really do. It's so awesome and beautiful and cool.
Looking forward to when we can all gather together again, you know.
Yeah.